Hi, Yizhao Martins, licensed marriage and family therapist, couples therapist. Welcome back to our happiness games for romantic relationships. Today I want to talk about comparison and competition in romantic relationships. And this is one kind of energy I see all the time in my couples therapy Zoom rooms. Let me give you some stories. So sometimes in couple therapy, my clients are competing for airtime. Even in consultation, the initial consultation that I offer to my clients for free, in that 15 minutes, sometimes partners feel the urge to compete with each other, to tell me the stories, their versions of the stories. So I align with them strongly. They know that I will support them, I validate them, I hear them. And in couples therapy sessions is even more prevalent when both partners wanted to compete for the time to tell me their perspective, their stories. Or sometimes they want my attention. If I'm working with one partner in the therapy session, in the middle of the session, the other partner may want my attention in that moment because we were really engaged and attuned. So that actually reminds of my children asking for mommy's attention, both of them competing, or then when they have a conflict, they will each want to tell their side of the story by cutting each other off and not letting the other person tell their stories, as they believe if your story is valid, then my story is invalid, and then you're right, I'm wrong. So you can see the similarity there. When couples fight, a lot of times our young parts were fighting with each other. The very young aspect of our psyche is engaging in conflict and cannot find a way to resolve it. So that makes sense, isn't it? The second type of competition I see in my therapy room is when couples start to compare each person's contribution, either financially, household chores, or childcare. So they start to compare who's doing more, who's doing less, and then they all trying to say, I'm doing more, see me, validate me, appreciate me. And similarly, they will think if my contribution is more, should be validated, and then yours is not. So there's the either or, black or white thinking there, which is very common. And you can see that also is a very young way of looking at things, right? Instead of waiting more complexity, allowing different possibilities. When we were young, our brain is not developed to see that. So we tend to see either black or white. My children also fight over who should be doing dishes and who has done certain chores the other person hasn't matched up, and then they're having very similar fights with some of my couples clients. The third type is actually when couples engage in sort of games like board game or recreational games, and they're getting really competitive with each other, and somehow the feelings were hurt after. Instead of having a friendly match where they're enhancing their relationship bonding, they actually have a lot of hurt feelings and disconnection and distance afterwards. I can definitely join in that subgroup. I'm outside of therapy, I'm a very competitive board game player. When I do my Chinese checker or Sudoku even, I get very competitive. I have that competitive look in me. So I can see how taking it personally when I lose my game. So what does all of those competition comparison, I wonder what that's rooted in us. Like, where is it coming from? Is it healthy? Is that normal to have that in your romantic relationship? How to get over that hurt feeling and disconnection, this yucky feeling that we are not on the same page, right? So when we look at deeply, I want to offer you two perspectives. One I already talked about from internal family system or post-work perspective. In our childhood, when we have an experience and there are strong feelings that's experienced but not fully understood, seen, accepted, and processed, sometimes the energy is still there. still in some part of our brain in the neural pathway. And when that get activated, it can come out and start to show us, want to tell us their stories, literally. That child part could be any age, from being a 4 or 5-year-old to a teenager. So oftentimes when you're in competition with each other, those young parts got activated, get super competitive, and they want to win, and they come out, want to prove of their value and want to be seen and appreciated. So that's one way of looking at it from the lens of inner child work. The other lens I want to offer to you is the system-centered therapy that I'm in training in, to look at that when you have a more competition going on, like talking over each other, interrupting, cutting each other off, you coming in at the same time, the competing energy is a sign of fight phase in your relationship. So every relationship, every system develop, go through stages where the fight, are just phases we'll go through. So isn't that comforting to know? So you don't take it personally as where we are a bad couple. No, you're just a normal couple that going through relationship, going through that developmental stage. Remember when you're going through terrible twos, you say no all the time? That's a stage. And when you're fighting, when you're competing with each other, that's also a stage. There's more energy to work together, to integrate your differences. You just haven't found a way to do that yet. And there's things to learn and to practice, right? So don't take it personally. And it is a phase everybody or relationship go through. And how you go through that, are you taking responsibility from your own part and learn and build your skills, will determine how's your relationship going, isn't it? So those are two perspectives I can offer you as I'm trained in. And I want to give you a couple of examples of how that they show up from what I know personally. So I had a conversation with my son who always wanted to win. He always wanted to sit on a certain side of the car. He wants to have the bigger slice of the apple. He wanted to have his bun that's full and that's big with filling. And he always told his sister, I got a bigger one. I got to sit here. So he kind of float and in his triumph. So I asked him, I said, Mommy is doing this podcast on comparison and competition. Would you share with me what is that? Make it so desirable for you to be in that position where you have this piece of apple or bun that make you feel better in that moment. What's the root of that? Like, why does it matter to you so much? He thought about it and he said, what that means for me is I have good luck. When I happen to get a bigger piece of apple when you cut it, some of them bigger than others, and when I get that bun that's full, filled with egg custard fillings and so nice, I feel so lucky and that gives me good mood. I feel good. Oh, I was like, oh, so for you, it's the luck that drives you to compare, and being the lucky one make you feel good, like chosen almost, right? So that's something maybe all his lifetime he will work through, and that's a pain point for him. That's his soul correction. I don't know, but it might be different from other people. And then I look at myself, why am I being so competitive in board games? When I lose, why I don't feel good? When I win, why I want to float? gloat, why I want to gloat. And is in Chinese culture, parents often associate intelligence with winning a game. So there are a lot of indirect reinforcement as when you win a game, you're so smart. I'm thinking about, board games or anything that have something to do with it and using your brain, cognitive skills, not the sports game. Sports game, there are more speed and power, right? But as Han Chinese, we are very big on intellectual development. So when you win a game, even though there's a lot of a chance, a lot of luck in that, but when you win it, they say you're intelligent, you're smart. So losing a game very easily for a child, again, a child part to deduct is, I'm not smart. So of course we all want to be smart, right? So the young part of me think I'm not smart when I lose a board game, which as an adult look at it, it's really funny because there's more than just intelligence in winning the game. Even for chess games, there are strategies, but sometimes there's some luck as well. As who start a game, there are many factors in that. But as a child, you cannot see that, right? The child just think, well, winning the game equals smart, not winning equals not smart. Logically, it doesn't even work if you know logic, right? It cannot do that. You cannot reverse that. But those are two examples I have in my personal life. But everyone is different. I'm curious about you, those who are viewing or listening to this podcast. Do you ever get into competitive relationship with your partner? Do you ever compare in your relationship? Do you compare your partner with other people? Do you compare yourself with your partner in certain areas? Who's younger, who's taller, who's prettier, who is stronger, who makes more money, who is good at certain things? And what is the meaning you're making out of that? For example, if you compare energy, you're competing in therapy, I take a look at it in that context. It's a sign that both partner want to be heard, understood, they both have energy to engage in therapy. So in some way, it is a good sign for me. There's just energy for me to manage and to contain. But if they are cutting each other off and power each other down by yelling or using curse words or put them down as a way to get airtime to compete, that's unhealthy competition, and I do not tolerate that or allow that in my therapy room because it is not a dynamic I want to foster in couples relationship, right? So it depends on the context and how the manifestation of those competition energy. But in other example I want to give it to you is, let's say, if the partners are competing in making money, right, in a household, that the benefits is for the household to have more money. Maybe each of them develop their careers and their earning capacity. The household will have a more dispensable income. So the outcome might be very beneficial for the whole relationship and system. But if they are putting each other down when the other person is not getting the promotion, saying some snarly comments, and so you should just stay at home since you can't get a promotion and take care of the kids or something, that become a misuse of power. So one example I want to give is when my son is very strong. He carries backpack for us when we're hiking, and then the one time I hear him saying the sister should follow him because he has the water and snack. He gets to decide where we're going. I pointed out to him saying, when you have the power and you're using the power to give us a service, that's very admirable. But when you are misusing the power by controlling other people's behavior, that is not what we want to see in this world. So do you ever have a moment when you have a power, you want to misuse it? I wonder, we all have a part that's really drawn to that. It feels powerful, but when we really have power, we do not need to gloat. We do not need to abuse it. We do not need to control others because we know we have power. So this is going really big. I did not expect that. So I will give you more specific tips and exercise to do in my coaching YouTube channel I'm building. That I will use some role play game, some somatic physical exercise, or even art exercise if you're really prone to creativity, for you to explore what's going on in your relationship dynamic that's connected to our topics. So very soon I will be recording video on competition in relationships and some of the games you can play to explore different options when you're in a power struggle and how do you get out of that competitive dynamic. I will see you next week, my friends. Bye.